All right, ready to dive into some serious mystery. Secret handshakes, hidden symbols, all that good stuff.
Well, hold on a second. We're tackling Freemasonry, yeah, but not the way you might think.
Okay, good point. We're not chasing conspiracy theories today.
Definitely not. We're going straight to the source, Albert Pike and his Morals and Dogma.
This is like the book for understanding Masonic philosophy, right?
Right.
At least for the Scottish Rite branch.
It's a big one, for sure. But gotta remember, Freemasonry isn't one size fits all.
So many branches, so many interpretations.
Exactly. We're not claiming to speak for all Freemasons here.
More like unpacking the ideas in this specific text, seeing what Pike himself is saying.
Right. And one thing that jumps out is how much he emphasizes knowledge.
All right.
Like, it's not just about the rituals.
It's about, what, like the meaning behind them?
More like the rituals are just the start. He compares the different degrees to steps towards light and truth.
So it's a journey.
Yeah, but the destination matters too. That light and truth, that's key to Pike's whole philosophy.
So what's he actually getting at there?
Well, it's not like reaching some final answer, more about constantly learning, questioning, always reaching for something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so I'm hearing it's the journey that matters.
Kind of, yeah. But the destination guides the journey. It's about always knowing there's more to learn, always seeking.
And for Pike, a big part of that is charity.
He's big on that, but not just like writing a check and feeling good about yourself.
Yeah, he gets into some pretty intense stuff, right? Like way beyond what people usually think of as charity.
Absolutely. He's got these 5 points of fellowship, practical ways to help your fellow Masons.
I remember reading that part. He uses some pretty intense language.
Oh, yeah, it's vivid. He talks about like going upon a brother's errand, even barefoot and upon flinty ground.
Ouch. Okay, I get the picture.
It's like, what would that look like today? Donating an organ, walking someone through a crisis, step by step. It gets pretty intense.
It really makes you think about how we define charity, you know? Like, are we truly putting ourselves out there for others?
That's exactly what Pike is getting at, this radical level of empathy and action.
Which honestly feels pretty relevant these days. Like, we could all use a little more of that, right?
For sure. And just when you think you're starting to get Pike's take on charity, he throws in this whole other layer. He's like, oh yeah, and by the way, Masonry has all these hidden truths.
See, that's where I always get tripped up. Why all the secrecy?
It's like, why not just put it all out there?
Exactly. What's the point of holding back?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Pike seems to be saying that real understanding, you have to earn it.
Okay, so it's not about keeping secrets for the sake of it, but more like encouraging people to actively search for deeper meaning.
There you go. But we can't forget about those hidden truths he keeps mentioning.
Especially when he starts dropping hints about enemies of humanity.
Yeah, Pike definitely knew how to lay down some intrigue. It's like, who are these enemies? What are they up to?
And how does this all tie into Masonic philosophy? So many questions.
And I'm guessing we won't get any easy answers anytime soon. But hey, remember what we said about the journey being just as important as the destination?
True that. Looks like we're in for a wild ride with morals and dogma.
Yeah.
So we've talked knowledge, charity, even hinted at those mysterious hidden truths. But there's something else in morals and dogma I wasn't expecting.
Oh, what's that?
Pike actually seems pretty positive about, well, life, like life on Earth, here and now, not just focusing on the afterlife or anything.
It's true. He doesn't shy away from that. It's a very different perspective than you might expect.
Right. You always hear Freemasonry is all about secrets and ancient mysteries.
Whispered in dark corners.
Exactly. But Pike's coming at it with this surprisingly grounded, like almost celebratory view of the world.
He finds a lot of value in the everyday, in the here and now.
There's that line really stuck with me. Earth is among the stars. So poetic, but
yeah.
what's he actually getting at?
It's like he's saying our lives here, they matter. We're not insignificant, just passing through. We're part of something huge and interconnected.
So it's not about escaping from the world, but finding meaning within it.
Exactly. And that meaning, for Pike, ties into this whole idea of contentment.
Though he makes a big distinction, right?
Yeah.
Contentment versus complacency, those aren't the same thing.
Not at all. He even talks about people who are lazy and luxurious, contrasting them with true Masonic contentment. It's not about just having a comfortable life, indulging in pleasure.
There's more to it than that.
It's about finding fulfillment in living by those light and truth principles we were discussing.
Okay, so it's an active kind of contentment then.
You got it. recognizing the value of life and then actually doing something with it for yourself and for others.
Which brings us back to that whole radical charity thing.
Full circle. Pike's basically saying you can't be truly content if you're ignoring suffering, ignoring injustice in the world.
You have to be engaged.
You have to act. It's about making the world a better place.
Which, let's be real, that's a pretty tall order. Especially these days, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the negativity.
No doubt, it's not an easy path. But Pike's saying it's the path worth taking. He's reminding us that even when things are tough, we have a choice.
A choice
To choose hope, choose action, choose love, even when the world feels chaotic.
That's pretty profound, especially for a text that's so often associated with secrecy and, well, exclusivity.
Right. There's something universal about that message, this yearning for meaning, for purpose, for connection. It's something we all share.
Absolutely. And it sounds like Pike's saying we find that connection not through some ritual, but by actually being in the world, trying to make it better.
100%. He goes as far as to say that this inward transformation, this journey towards light and truth, it's crucial for actually creating a better world.
So it's not just about personal enlightenment.
It's bigger than that. It's about using that enlightenment to actually do something.
Because, let's be honest, the world could use a little more light and truth right now.
Yeah,
Right?
I'd say so. And while Pike might not lay out all the answers, he definitely gives us a lot to think about.
That he does. And speaking of thinking, there's this other passage in Morals and Dogma I wanted to get into. The part where Pike talks about God allowing hardship in our lives. Things like a tyrant upon us, or a sickness or scorn, or a lessened fortune.
Heavy stuff. It's easy to question why, if there's this benevolent force, why bad things happen.
It's a question people have grappled with for centuries.
Exactly. But Pike doesn't shy away from it. He's like, it's not about why these things happen, but how we respond.
It's about how we face adversity.
He talks about cultivating this noble principle, so we fear not death so much as a dishonest action.
Wow, so it's about holding on to your values no matter what life throws at you.
Exactly. He even compares it to someone who, after they fall from a high position, they seek sanctuary in an honest retirement, being indifferent to thy gain abroad.
It's about recognizing that true worth comes from within, not from external circumstances.
You got it.
So it's like he's saying, okay, you hit a rough patch. Now what? What are you going to do with that experience? How are you going to use it to make a difference?
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be some huge world-changing thing. It's the small acts of kindness, generosity, just living with integrity. Those ripple outwards.
It's funny, we started this whole deep dive thinking we'd uncover all these ancient secrets, maybe even some conspiracies.
Right. It was like, cue the spooky music.
Exactly. But instead, we've stumbled onto something way more profound.
It's like Pike's reminding us that the real journey, the real work, it's all about looking inward.
Confronting our own biases,
Yeah.
trying to be better versions of ourselves.
Maybe that's the key to unlocking those hidden truths he keeps mentioning.
Oh, like the real treasure was inside us all along.
Maybe so.
It's a classic story, right?
It really is. Pike's saying true enlightenment, it's not about finding some external source of truth. It's about cultivating it from within.
And that journey, just like the degrees in Freemasonry, it's ongoing. Always learning, always growing, always reaching for something bigger than yourself. It's about embracing those steps toward light and truth and knowing that we all have a part to play in making the world a better place. It's like one step at a time, right?
Yeah, those baby steps, they add up.
And in this case, those steps are about way more than joining some club or learning a secret handshake. It's deeper than that.
It's about building something inside yourself. Compassion, integrity, that desire to learn and grow.
And then taking those things out into the world, making a difference.
It's about knowing we're all connected, our actions have an impact, and it's on us to leave things better than we found them.
So maybe those hidden truths Pike talks about, maybe they're not so hidden after all.
Maybe they're right in front of us. In the everyday stuff, being kind, being brave, showing compassion.
And always seeking, always learning.
That's it. The journey's the real treasure. It's a classic lesson, isn't it?
It really is. Pike's saying that real enlightenment, it's not out there somewhere. It's about cultivating it within yourself.
And that journey, just like we were saying about the degrees in Freemasonry, it never really ends. Always more to learn, always ways to grow, always reaching for something bigger.
It's like embracing those steps one by one toward that light and truth he talks about. Knowing we all have a part to play.
We all have that potential.
Well said. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Albert Pike and morals and dogma. What a ride.
It's been quite the journey, hasn't it? Started with secret societies, ended up talking about the meaning of life. Kind of fitting when you think about it.
It really is.
Yeah.
We went from hidden truths to the importance of living a good life. Right here, right now.
And everything in between. The importance of knowledge, finding true contentment, finding the strength to make a change.
And through it all, I think Pike's message is pretty clear.
Yeah, what's the takeaway here?
That the real treasure, it's not hidden in some vault, it's not locked away in some ancient ritual.
It's inside us all.
And it's about connecting with that, with each other, with the world around us. It's powerful stuff.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. So, to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. What steps are you going to take today? How are you going to move towards that light and truth in your own life?
How are you going to live those principles? Charity, knowledge, contentment. They're not just Masonic ideas, they're universal.
Because in a world that feels so uncertain sometimes,
It's those small acts of courage, compassion, just living with integrity. Those are the things that really matter.
those are the things that make a difference.
Yeah.
So go out there, be the change you want to see, and never stop searching for those hidden truths wherever you may find them.
Who knows what you'll discover along the way.
Until next time, keep on diving deep.